For nearly 6 decades, the political landscape of Tamil Nadu operated as a locked, impenetrable fortress. To win a legislative majority here meant defeating an entrenched system that had successfully repelled outside challengers since the late 1960s. Two legacy titans spent those decades guarding the gates: the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, or DMK, and their arch-rivals, the AIADMK. They possessed the institutional memory, the capital, and the multi-generational voter bases required to maintain absolute control over South Indian politics. In the 2026 Assembly election, a debutante political party founded by actor C. Joseph Vijay, the Tamizhaga Vettri Kazhagam, or TVK, shattered that 59-year equilibrium. This map of Tamil Nadu shows the election's immediate aftermath. TVK captured 108 seats, aggressively sweeping urban strongholds like Greater Chennai, wresting 14 of 16 assembly seats directly from the incumbent DMK. This comparative bar chart reveals the macroscopic impact. Propelled by the state's highest ever voter turnout of 85.1%, TVK secured over 17.2 million popular votes, establishing a commanding 34% vote share, and relegating the former heavyweights to 59 and 47 seats, respectively. This victory relied on organizational mechanics that targeted the structural decay of the established Dravidian giants, while utilizing the founder's celebrity to activate a pre-existing grassroots network. The TVK organization spent 3 decades in incubation. Since 1992, Vijay's cinematic fanbase evolved sequentially into a decentralized welfare association that embedded itself into the civic life of rural and semi-urban Tamil Nadu. By early 2025, the party activated that infrastructure. Through a massive tech-enabled enrollment drive requiring 10-digit mobile verification, the Tamizhaga Vettri Kazhagam swelled its registered membership base to over 15 million people in a matter of months. They converted those members into a rigid political hierarchy, deploying 70,000 dedicated booth agents across the state. This micro-level management neutralized the traditional booth-level superiority that the DMK and AIADMK had used to maintain power for decades. Beyond organization, the party needed to resolve the primary vulnerability of new entrants in the state: the lack of a coherent local ideology. TVK circumvented this by co-opting the state's historical intellectual lineage. They anchored their platform in the principles of Ambedkar, Periyar, and Kamaraj. This triad signaled a commitment to Dalit empowerment and social justice, while appealing to voters who valued the educational reforms and administrative probity of the Kamaraj era. This ideological positioning resonated with Generation Z and urban voters who demanded state autonomy but felt alienated by the DMK's perceived dynastic entitlement, an entitlement symbolized by the rapid rise of Deputy Chief Minister Udayanidhi Stalin. TVK outflanked the duopoly by presenting themselves as the modern defenders of Dravidian culture, stripped of the decades of incumbency fatigue and corruption allegations that burdened the established majors. This political momentum faced a severe stress test in late 2025. A crowd crush at a campaign rally in Karur resulted in the deaths of 41 individuals, an event that typically ends a nascent movement. TVK bypassed standard political deflection, immediately suspending the campaign and taking absolute moral and financial responsibility. Vijay provided compensation packages that significantly exceeded state protocols, paying 2 million rupees to the families of the deceased. Vijay held private meetings with the victims' families, away from media cameras, focusing on victim welfare rather than political defense. Subsequent electoral data showed the base remained intact, as voters largely viewed the tragedy as an administrative failure rather than a malicious act. That survival led directly to a constitutional standoff. This chart visualizes the 2026 hung assembly. While TVK emerged as the single largest party with 108 seats, they fell strictly 10 seats short of the 118 needed to form a government. To bridge this gap, TVK exploited a terminal existential crisis within the AIAMK, whose vote share had plummeted to 21%. A faction of 25 rebel AIAMK lawmakers broke away. TVK co-opted them by presenting a mathematical reality. Supporting the TVK coalition was the only way to keep their primary adversary, the DMK, out of power. Surviving the Karur tragedy and executing this floor test math proved TVK possessed the calculating machinery required to take control of the state legislature. On May 10, 2026,
the insurgency became the establishment, as Vijay was sworn in as chief minister. And immediately, the campaign's populist promises collided with the state's macroeconomic reality. The TVK victory was heavily subsidized by a manifesto loaded with expensive welfare guarantees, designed specifically to dismantle the DMK's long-standing patronage networks. These promises included 2,500 rupee monthly cash transfers for women heads of families and 4,000 rupee stipends for unemployed graduates, creating a massive new financial obligation for the state. The DMK spent 65,000 crore rupees on welfare. TVK's commitments trigger a 50% inflation, pushing the total to 1 lakh crore. Against Tamil Nadu's total revenue, this welfare apparatus consumes 1/3 of the state's income, leaving narrow margins for infrastructure. The constraints of power forced the new administration into fiscal pragmatism. You can see this tension in their first administrative order regarding free electricity. While TVK implemented the promised 200-unit free power scheme, they attached a restrictive caveat. The benefit only applies to low-consumption households. By cutting off households using over 500 units, the Treasury saved 700 crore rupees, despite facing immediate backlash from the opposition. TVK successfully disrupted a 6-decade duopoly through hyper-local organizing and center-left posturing. Now, their survival rests on their ability to balance their base's high expectations